Okay, so far what we have learned for Trigo is solving for what I call it as Trigo theta equals to number. What do I mean by that? The very basic thing is going to be like sine x equals to 1, something like that. That's the very basics. One moment. My camera is not catching things yet. This is basics. Of course, things can go a lot further, such as sine 2 theta plus 30 equals to 1. I think it's going to be more complicated on that side. Okay, today, this is the final stage that you want to get. Before we can get that, we need to do other things first. Mainly, there are two techniques where we use our self-substitute t. Or the other one is r, sine theta plus alpha, or r cos theta plus minus alpha. It's either we're going to use these two techniques. When are we going to use these two techniques? Largely depends on the questions. The question will say use which one. Okay, so let's go through the substitute t first. My camera is not working that well. One moment. Okay, you can get yourself something like this. The question going to say express in t. Or maybe they said that given, this is from past year. Given t equals to tangent x, express tangent to x in terms of t. If tangent to x, this is from past year, we can have a look for our formula sheet. Look here, we got ourselves tangent to x, and we given here is tangent x. Basically, what's the difference of the angle? Well, times 2, or you can say divided by 2. So obviously, double angle formula, mainly this one. Or let me show a better version. Mainly this one. So if we copy things back to tangent x, 1 minus tangent square x. Alright, just this one, double angle formula. And substituting our t, our tangent x, we should get ourselves 2t 1 minus t squared. You guys okay? Is it clear for you, the screen? Could be kabur for me, blurry. Okay, once you got here, we can draw the triangle. So here's your 2x, here's your 2t, here's your 1 minus t squared. Basically, tangent. And what about up here? 1 plus t squared. How do you get 1 plus t squared? Basically, theorem Pythagoras. A squared plus b squared and the square root you got here. If you forgot, then you can use Pythagoras theorem. But I'll assure you it's quite tough and you don't want to waste your time in exams. So my recommendation, memorize. Yeah, it's quite easy. Just remember here is minus, here is plus, that's all. Okay? Just to be safe. Write it down 5 times. Draw the triangle 5 times. What about here? 2t, 1 minus t squared, 1 plus t squared. You can say, change to plus. Just commit it to your memory. Viewers, I recommend you do this by yourself. Okay, that should be okay. Right? Write down repetition. Yeah, if you try to find that in exams, I tried it once, I got it wrong. So it's better to memorize that one. And that's the very basics. Okay, of course you can also be given in another way, which is very similar as well. Let's say that given t equals to tangent theta over 2, then express tangent theta in terms of t. The difference of what happened here is that it's still kind of the same what we did just now, where theta over 2 becomes theta by just simply times 2. So instead of double angle formula, what do we use? Half angle formula. Very, very similar thing. Tangent x equals to tangent x over 2 and you will see they're kind of identical. What I'm trying to say is, don't panic. Okay? And give you the same triangle. But over here is just x. Here is 2t, 1 minus t squared. What about here? 1 plus t squared. Better memorize that. These two workings are similar. Are you okay with that? That's the very basics of things. So let's start things slow. Let's say the question gives you solve 5 cos theta minus 2 sin theta equals to 2. And we want to solve it for 0 until 2 pi. Okay, like I mentioned before, there are 2 ways of solving. Normally in exam, they will say something like solve in terms by using t equals to tangent theta over 2. Normally in exams, they will write things like that. Or maybe they say t suddenly appears. So that's a clue for you. Okay, so if you want to use t tangent theta over 2, here is cos, here is sine. How do we start? Well, we did start just now. Remember? Theta over 2. So we got here, we got here, we got here. Sorry, this is theta. So here's your triangle, and you want to find cos theta. So cos theta will be 1 minus t squared over 1 plus t squared. You need to write this in exams. Okay? So you need to start all over again. You need to write down again. Okay, let blah 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 and so on lah. We given here. So tangent theta equals to 2 tangent theta over 2 1 minus tangent squared theta over 2. I'm writing this one down just for formalities. But I'm saying things again in exams. This process is a must. So cos theta will be 1 minus t squared 1 plus t squared. This is easy. Minus 2 2t 1 plus t squared. So how do you solve from here? We never like fractions, so what do? This thing here, you multiply 1 plus t squared. Five minus 5t squared, simply. How do you solve from here? There's a normal quadratic. And this here, well, the normal way, you ask your BFF. Normally this is where student stops and this is where you lose all the marks. What should you do? Start back. This thing here. Yeah, just, start back is a short form of it. Okay, how do we proceed? See, I told you, this is what we're trying to get. I said just now, this is the final stage. Trigo theta equals to number we got here. So what we've been doing for the last weeks is just basics. Simply shift tan that, what do you get? Before we proceed, remember this is positive. Positive which quadrant? 1 and 3rd. Theta over 2. Shift tan that. Okay, can someone please tell me? How much? Louder please, I cannot hear you. Come again? 23.2, sorry, will be on the first quadrant. So the third quadrant will be 203.2. What about for the negative one? Negative will be, that's what 45, you should know by now. 135 and 315. Are you okay? Alright, there's a few small traps. I'll say the second trap. This is pi over 2. So pi over 2, if we do like the other day, if we got ourselves something like this, sine 2x equals to, let's say 1. So 2x will be 90. But you should not have only 1. You need to, because this is 2, you need to plus 360. 450. And then you divide by 2. 45. 225. If there are 2x there, so you plus 360. But right now here, there's over 2. That means you only want your answers to be in only the first two quadrants. 3 and 4 are not needed. That's the first trap. Understand? Why are we taking this one out? Because there's pi over 2 and only 1 in the first two quadrants. 180 in short. 360 divided by 2 lah. 180. Okay, now we times by 2. We got ourselves 46.4. The other one will be 270. Is that our final answers? That's the second trap. The question is in 2 pi. If you miss this part, please take a red pen, make a box for it. That's a normal mistakes in exams. So we need to change them into pi. How do we change them into pi? Simply times pi over 180. This is 3 over 4, right? 3 over 2. Am I right? Divide that by 90. What do you got for here? Here, this one, there's no point. 0.810 radian, or you can leave your answer in pi form, like this. Okay? You can go decimals. If you go decimals, what do you get? 4.712. Either this or this, both of them are acceptable in final exams. Which one do we prefer? I prefer pi. You guys okay? So basically from here, you got yourself, you see 5 cos theta and 2 sin theta. And the question is already given you to use this thing, t. So you need to use a double angle and get yourself this far. Substitute that back in, just do trigo. And you see yourself in the final stage, as I mentioned just now. This is what you want to get. And then just carefully go there. Right? There's a few traps over here, as I mentioned just now, pi over 2. You need to only take 1 and 2. Because 360 divided by 2, 180. So only first two quadrants. And be careful, if they want in pi form, they don't want in degree, they want in radian. Of course, you can shift tan in radian on the first place. Depends on your personal taste. Alright, so another example will be question says something like this: by t tangent theta, sorry about that, by t tangent theta, solve 2 sine 2 theta minus cos 2 theta equals to negative 1. Solve for 0 theta 360. Right, let's not waste too much time. The working steps are the same. But the question here is, if the problem here is 2 theta, here is theta. Okay? So it should signal you by, oh, this is tangent to, this is 2 theta, this is theta. So basically, tangent to theta equals to 2 tangent theta over 1 minus tangent squared theta. If you forgot about this, don't worry. The formula sheet will be given, and you can refer it over here. And simply sub them 2t y minus t squared and draw the triangle 2t y minus t squared 1 plus t squared. What about the angle here? 2 theta. It's the same as this one. Okay, not this one here. So right now 2 sine 2 theta, this is easy. I'll go very quickly with you. The methods are the same. And then we don't like fractions, so you multiply them. Be careful though that this negative times negative, you got yourself positive. Be careful. Common mistakes in life, negative and positive. Sorry about my handwriting a bit today. It's a bit shaky. So t is either 0 or t plus 2 equals to 0. So the other one is t negative 2. Should we stop here? That's where you go wrong. So you should substitute t with what? Tangent theta or tangent theta over 2? It depends on what you're given just now. So you sub back, and depends on the way you wish to write down, equal to 0, negative 2. I don't mind this way. Some old lecturers do mind, but I was like a shortcut. Okay, how do we proceed from here? Let's start negative 2 first. Negative 2 is easier. It's a negative which quadrant? Second and fourth. 116.6. 180, sorry. And 296.6. You can put this if you want to, it's alright. 296, oh my goodness, my handwriting. Let's just rewrite that. Okay, but what about tangent 0? Tangent theta equals to 0. What do you get? That's all? What's the answer? 0 is only one of them. Oh, sorry. I don't mean to show off just now. No, I cannot spin my pen. Okay, in my class, I've taught you that be careful with trigo theta. You're going to find 0, 1, and -1. If you ever going to find this value, I highly recommend you use graph instead. So tangent theta equals to 0, it's best to use graph. The thing you need to know about tangent graph is what happens if you press tangent 90? What do you get? Math error. It's not infinity, it's error. So 90, -90. There's a barrier here that you cannot touch. Okay, so let's try and repeat them again. What's the difference? How much? By how much the difference? 180, okay? So the next cycle will be 90 plus 180? 270. This is my first time teaching you tangent graph. In the middle is 180. Can we go one more time? 270 until 450, is it? 450. So that's your wall of fire you cannot cross. In the middle is 360. So how many 0 can you see? 1, 2, 3. So the answer is 0, 180, 360. 0, 180, 360. That's quite cruel. Yes, you can leave your answer in this form, or if you're having an OCD problem, then please rearrange them properly. Which way you prefer in exam, sir, as an examiner, sir? I have to admit the examiner prefer this way. Me personally, I leave it at that. Might be because I don't have OCD, or might be I'm a bit lazy. Okay, so let's try in another video the past year questions. This is just the basics.